But now all of a sudden the Cowboys, like they handled the Dak situation, like they handled the Lamb situation, you have one man, Jerry Jones, spearheading an entire coaching search. And Deion Sanders is the best name that came up?
I got another name for you that I read in the post, Jason Witten.
Bizarre.
Can you imagine? Listen, I'm not one to, what are your credentials? But what has Jason Witten done to warrant an NFL head coaching position? I understand that Jerry probably likes him a lot and really grades him out well when it comes to his knowledge of football. But we got to, if you're Jerry Jones, you're 82 years old. And if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, you have to have some serious questions if an 82-year-old Jerry Jones is going to make the right hire. And I don't like the fact that he's going, yep, this is me. This is my solo mission. I'm finding the next guy. Jerry, did you buy this team for your family? Nope, bought it strictly for me. I don't want to, I think senile is the wrong word, Colin, but it really seems like at this point, Jerry Jones is off the leash on so many levels right now.
It really is. I don't love the fact how he's spearheading this on his own. This is the classic Jerry Jones move of I'm going to figure this all out. And the best names that we have come up with are Jason Witten and Deion Sanders. I wouldn't necessarily... Deion, listen, a good coach, a good culture guy, a good story. The Cowboys would get every 425 game the whole year. You could bet anything on that. So there's that. But in terms of putting together a product in the football field that lasts and win games at a high level, Colorado improved. There is no doubt about that. But going from Colorado winning 9 games, shifting to the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC East, that is a tricky, tricky leap. I don't care who you are. I don't know if you're Deion or Tony Gonzalez or you're Joe Montana. Usually that doesn't necessarily work out. I think they're digging themselves into a bit of a corner there.
Yesterday, I called the whole Deion Sanders to the Cowboys and Jerry reached out. I called it a highlight. I don't think it's going to come to fruition. But the more I read, the more I absorb what Jerry Jones is doing right now in Dallas, I really think he knows who he wants to hire. I really think he knows who he wants to hire, and it's probably out of the box like Deion Sanders and Jason Witten. Now, you brought up a great point. Deion's still under contract at Colorado. I actually think he loves coaching at Colorado. And Kate Chumslin, our host here at ESPN 106.3, who was with us yesterday on site at TGL, he put it in perspective too. Colin, he could go and watch his kids play on Sunday. Now, I know Shador's going to be playing. I'm not sure about the other son. But if Shador goes somewhere, and obviously once Shador goes in the first round and is a quarterback, he will have the capability of going to some of these games because a lot of these college games are played either during the week or most likely on Saturday. So I think that's another perspective of looking at it, the prime stuff. And as far as Jason Witten, Colin, that stuff blindsided me. But I really think Jerry has his mind set, and I think he already knows who he wants. I think it's just him having to convince them to come to the Cowboys, because I told you this last week, it takes a very particular coach to have to go there in Dallas and deal with Jerry Jones.
Listen, I don't know the relationships, but the name that popped into my head was Pete Carroll, somebody who's looking to get back on the sideline, who's probably going to play ball with whatever type of restrictions that the ownership places on him. And it's a big job. He is a big game coach. He has been there at both levels. That, to me, makes a lot of sense, more so than Deion. Now, I don't know if I'd put a lot of stock into whether Deion wants to go see his kids play on Sunday comparatively. That's the Cowboy job you're talking about.
Right.
This is the Dallas Cowboys, a team that you played for. And it's the biggest franchise in might be in sports. So off of that, you're talking about the New York Yankees level. So if they offer you the job, I don't know how you say no. And there was an argument to be made when his kid was playing at Colorado, but now all of a sudden his kids are not there. And I don't know why you'd want to hang around in favor of a bunch of college kids in the Big 12 when the Cowboys come knocking.
Yeah, I think the smart move for Prime and his brand, I don't know how much Prime cares about his brand or whatever, but I think the smart move would take the next step and probably take Jerry Jones up on this Dallas Cowboy job. It's not the story.
Destined to fail. It's so destined to fail.
It is. And at least Prime has some head coaching experience, right? At least he has head coaching experience. Granted, it's at the college level, but unlike a guy like Jason Witten, who would basically be going into the job, here I am, so I like the Prime more than the Witten. Colin, I always thought Bill Belichick was going to get the job. I thought this was the perfect job for Bill Belichick to get back into the NFL. He is one of those coaches who I personally think could have dealt with Jerry Jones. And I thought those two could have worked together on a couple of things. Lo and behold, Belichick takes the Carolina job, and here we are talking about Coach Prime and Witten.
Yeah, get a proven winner. Pete Carroll makes a lot of sense. Bill Belichick makes a lot of sense.
Would Pete Carroll want to come back?
Yeah, it sounds like he does.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
He's taking interviews.
That's my initial question with Pete Carroll, because I know he looks like he's 50 years old, Colin, but I think he is up there age-wise too.
But in terms of a Jerry Jones type hire, Pete Carroll fits the bill. Proven winner, can deal with ownership, has done it at a lot of levels, has done it with multiple franchises. Off of that, that to me, I would think that's a decent hire if the Cowboys made that move.
It's crazy to me that the Cowboys, and at least Colin, taking you for face value, what you said on previous shows and myself, it's crazy to me that the Cowboys, that everyone's not talking about being the top job. They have and listen, if you think Dak Prescott is good or not, they have the quarterback position figured out. They have a good enough defense. You have your all-pro edge rusher. Could you use some work on the O-line? Sure. Could you use a running back? Sure. But there is a lot of talent on that team. We already mentioned they won 7 games without their franchise quarterback and a lot of injuries in the defense. The reason they're not a top job in the NFL is because of Jerry Jones.
There's a question mark surrounding the power that would be allotted to you if you were to take that Cowboy job. Comparatively to the Raiders, where it sounds like Ben Johnson's going to get the keys and the car if he goes there and he's able to get his own general manager and he's going to be able to call his own shots. Comparatively to the Dallas, you're walking into that interview sort of with a cold sweat thinking, how much is Jerry Jones really going to give me in terms of space? Is he going to be breathing down my neck? Am I going to have to, am I running his team or is he running mine? Where is the power dynamic? That type of struggle, I agree, is not that attractive.
And not to mention him sounding off on his daily segment or whatever that he's got going on a Dallas radio station.
Down there. Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
I think he does a good job with that because they do go after him and he's able to handle it. But to a degree, he is the poster boy. Mm. He is the one who talks to the media before you do.
And CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons, this was in training camp and before the season. I remember them basically quote tweeting things that Jerry said and eye rolling. Emoji eye rolling of what Jerry is saying as far as extensions. This is an owner who is right there in your face.
It's a pain in the rear end. He is a pain in the rear end. The people going through the facility on tours during training camp, and then it takes forever through the training camp to actually set contracts up. You have to deal with the glare, and he won't close the stadium. Go down the list, just minuscule, different types of annoyances that are just you have to deal with because Jerry wants it that way, and it's either his way or the highway. So off of that, I think it's bizarre how Jerry is spearheading this on his own, but I do think it's up to par to what we'd expect. I expect Jerry Jones to, grab this whole situation by the throat and control it his own way. I do not expect Jerry Jones to bring in football-minded people to help him make this decision. This is going to be Jerry Jones' decision, point blank, period. He cares more about, I'm starting to think, he cares more about that Cowboy brand than he actually does about winning. He's gotten his Super Bowls. He cares about the brand, the business.
And in Jerry's mind, there's no one more qualified to be a GM than him. He's been, the GM of the Dallas Cowboys for how many years has he owned the team?
Let's add some sprinkles and some fireworks, and let's get Deion Sanders in there. Right. Deion Sanders was must-watch college football for a team that wasn't that good. Must-watch college football. And then all of a sudden you stick him on the Cowboys, a must-watch franchise with a lot of storylines and a must-watch entertaining character coach?
I think it all depends. Now, this is me speculating if Prime gets the job. I think it depends who he surrounds himself with, coordinators and whatnot. Colin, I do think the players would listen to him. I do think the players.
You have to handle it differently. He's a little drill sergeant with the college kids.
I agree.
And it was more about showing up in first row of class. It was pretty structured. He'd have to change up his tune.
But you think they'd respect him to a point, though?
You'd have to respect him because he's Deion. Right. And he's bigger than you are.
He's done it before. Two-sport athlete.
He's bigger than you are.
Yep.
But there's also a level of the second you don't win and he's still pulling what Deion does, it's easy to tune that out. We continue on.